New York City for the May Day demonstration. May 1st is International Workers' Day, a day historically associated with organizing for workers' rights. We're going to talk to some of the people here, find out why they came out to march and celebrate International Workers' Day.
Let's go! Workers! 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 Workers!
Can you tell us why you're out here today?
We're out here for many reasons, as you can see. One of them is because we are trade unionists. So happy Workers' Day, International Workers' Day. So we're out here supporting all workers in their fight for unionization.
Thank you. So we're here in Union Square, and behind me there's a lot of different socialist groups that have literature tables and such, so we're going to talk to some of them, see what their message is today.
Yeah, so we're out here in support of May Day, first and foremost, International Workers' Day. We're here because my brother Antoine's going to speak a little bit about, that's my brother Antoine Andrews, he's going to speak a little bit about the UPS possible strike coming by July 31st. If our demands with UPS are met and they do not, cast our proposals to the side, by August 1st, we could essentially be hitting the pavement. And we're talking about 350,000 UPS workers across the country that are willing to strike. We've been preparing them for over a year. We're ready to take it to them. It's been, the Teamsters Union has been a sleeping giant for over 20 years under the leadership of Hoffa. And thanks to organizations like Teamsters for Democratic Union, which I'm happily and proud to be a part of, Antoine too, we were able to take back our union with a lot of rank and file union activists, and we kicked out the old guard, and we brought Sean O'Brien, new leadership, our president Vinnie Perrone. A couple years back, we took over our local with them, and it's been a slow process, but little by little, building from the bottom up. Teamsters all over are seeing the locals that aren't doing what they should be doing, and they're taking over them with good people that are looking to fight for the working class. And the truth is, there's a war, right? There's a war against the working class. And the only way we're going to fight it is to build an army of organizers. This strike is bigger than just UPS. This strike is for every worker out there that's been exploited, for these Amazon workers, for these Walmart workers, all these multi-billion-dollar corporations who are taking advantage, who are railroad workers that have been taken advantage of and have been exploited for too many years. We're looking to set a bar so high and set a standard so high. That's why we're willing to strike. That's why we're threatening to strike. Because if they don't give us what we want, all these companies are expecting us and want us to fail because they know what's at stake. They know the higher we lift that bar, the more they have to worry about their workforce. So, this is bigger than us. This is a big thing for all workers. That's why we're here on May Day, International Workers' Day, to let all the workers know that we're here in support of them. We want them to support us. 350,000 UPS workers are depending on it. And hey, listen, if there's anybody out there listening to this, join a rally near you. Join the picket line if we're on strike. Bring the guys some water. During the pandemic, we were called essential. We were called heroes. The companies didn't do anything for us. They didn't treat us like essential. They didn't treat us like heroes.
Fighting for the hardworking men and women who are out there during the pandemic, who are out here now working hard, who are being, exploited. There are people who are being treated unfairly. So this is why we're standing up here today for the hardworking men and women. You know, we're fighting for things like increased wages for part-timers because part-time America does not work. You know, we're fighting for the company to honor Martin Luther King Day and deliver on the dream. Honor this day as a paid holiday. Not only for a paid holiday, but just to honor what this man fought for. He fought for the workers, the hardworking men and women out here. And like Tony said, if we don't get it, come August 1st, we're gonna shut it down. 350,000 Teamsters across this entire country. And if that happens, the whole country will plummet. Not that we want it to happen, but this is the sacrifice that needs to be made. We don't want to go on strike, but if the company doesn't give us what we want, this is what will happen.
Again, very important to understand, nobody wants to strike. But if you're put in a predicament where you just know a company like UPS, for example, had made $13.9 billion in profits over the last year alone. Carol Tomei, the CEO, $27 million in the last year. Is that fair to the working people of UPS, who are the ones that made that wealth, created that wealth?
Workers' Vanguard.
What is this, sir?
The Workers' Vanguard.
The Workers' Vanguard.
Newspaper.
Okay.
Get a revolutionary leadership in the struggles right now. Opposed to all forms of liberalism.
Great, fantastic. Why do you think that they're trying to push for war with Russia and China right now, sir?
That's because that's what imperialism does. It's about expanding their markets. They have to do that. It's not a policy. It's the way capitalism in its last stage runs.
What do you think? I've talked to some of the people here, and they have the opinion that this is an inter-imperialist war. What are your thoughts on this? Some people say, oh, China and Russia, they're imperialists as well, too. What is your response to that?
Neither of them are imperialists. The Russians had a counter-revolution, of course, but they're not part of the imperialist system. China, on the other hand, has not had a counter-revolution. And the basis of the 1949 revolution in that country, they have a worker state. Now, the problem with the worker state is run by Stalinists who brought in a whole bunch of market counter-reforms. But the height of the economy is still run by the state. It's a planned economy insofar as that's what's worth defending. The U.S. has been trying to overthrow that since 49. And of course, it's been against the Russians since 1917. But the Russians now are engaged in a reactionary war against Ukraine, which is also engaged in a reactionary war.
Yep.
So we say there's nobody's sport in it. The workers on each side should turn their guns against their own rulers rather than shooting down their brothers and sisters on the other side.
And what do you think that we could do within the United States? We're in the heart of the empire. We're near the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
What do you think we as United States citizens can do to push back against the war drive right now?
Building a revolutionary workers' party based on the need to fight against not only Trumpism, but the Democratic Party. Things like BLM, which is in the toe of the Democratic Party. You have to get a alternative to the Democrats ultimately.
I haven't seen much science about the war danger. What are your thoughts on the war with Russia and China? Do you think it's an inter-imperialist conflict? Do you think we should be, hoping that the Russians and the Chinese can negotiate peace in Ukraine? What are your thoughts on all of this?
And I don't think there's a lot likelihood that there's going to be a war between the United States and China or between the United States and Russia. I think what's happening in Ukraine is a proxy war where U.S. and NATO and the Zelensky government versus the Russians, who kind of play a regional imperialist role in that thing. And it's a conflict there, but I don't think it's going to ratchet up into a massive world war. If that were to happen, you'd have nuclear war.
Yeah.
And you'd have the destruction of humanity. I don't think that's in the interest of the capitalist class. I don't think that's likely to happen now. There are a lot of other problems facing humanity right now, though. Look at the world economic crisis that's facing capitalism, the reduction in trade,
But do you think that that's why
potential of
they're?
a slump.
It seems like some of the elements of the ruling class are proselytizing for a war over Taiwan, specifically because they say, oh, got to protect the semiconductor industry, keep it from China. Do you think there's a real danger there that we're going to escalate into a situation with China over Taiwan?
There's conflicts between U.S. and China for sure. There's going to be an escalation of proxy wars and other trade wars and things like that. But I don't think either side wants to escalate that to a world war. In the past, like in World War I and World War II, you could have inter-imperialist war because it could be beneficial for the capitalist class. So like if Hitler took over France, he could gain wealth from that, right?
Yeah.
This is not the case with nuclear weapons. The whole idea of a world war has changed, right? The stakes are much higher.
Much higher.
So I don't think that either the Chinese or the U.S. imperialists want to have a nuclear war. I don't think there's anything to gain. But there's certainly conflicts over, absolutely, semiconductors and all kinds of economic conflict between these two powers,
All right. Well, what do you think, as far as the presidential candidates that have declared so far? I haven't heard many of them talk about the war situation, except, interestingly enough, Donald Trump, who's been kind of proselytizing against the war to a degree. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that there doesn't seem to be much of a voice against an escalation?
Well, the main thing is that the vast majority of the United States is working class, but the working class has no party. The working class has no voice in these elections. So the elections, the candidates you're talking about, those are bourgeois candidates, Republicans and Democrats. So, and there you see maybe some split among the ruling class where you have elements like that are more towards isolationism, like the Trump wing of the Republican Party, versus the more interventionist, like Biden, capitalists. That's where the dispute is. But that's, to me, the major problem is that the working class doesn't have a party. The working class needs a party so the working class can have a voice.
Well, did you see the CPUSA quite literally a few months ago called themselves small d Democrats, which is both a marketing error and just a ridiculous thing to say. What are your thoughts on that?
I think they're making a big mistake, not only now, but a large chunk of their past, where they've been supporting Democrats. I think anyone who's a socialist, like AOC and Bernie Sanders, they should break with the Democratic Party. They shouldn't be aligned with the Democratic Party. As you saw, some of them voted to make it illegal for the railroad workers to go out on strike.
Yeah.
That's so anti-socialist. That's the first principle of a socialist is you're be against the capitalist state making a strike illegal. That's the worst kind of thing they could do was to vote for that law that Biden put forward.
And you bring forward a good point. What do you think about the general breakdown? You see, it's almost like every single sector of the productive economy is on the verge of wanting to strike because of how bad conditions are getting. Who can really lead this movement and direct it towards a positive alignment?
Most of the labor leaders are holding the working class back. Instead of saying, here's a strategy of how we can win, they're holding them back from strikes. Or when they go on strike, they fight it in such a way as that you can't win. Look at, if the American labor movement wants to progress, right, what it has to do is learn from its past. How did it win in the 30s? By mass plant occupations, they call sit-down strikes. By mass picketing, right? That's how the working class built the trade unions. That's how the working class went on the offensive and basically tripled the membership, more than tripled the membership in trade unions in the 30s. That's what the labor movement has to return to. You're right, we need leadership. That's what we're trying to do, is build that leadership. A lot of the leadership in the 30s were Marxists, communists, socialists. That's what we need. We have to build Marxism into the labor movement.
Do you think a lot of the labor movement and the labor unions themselves have been captured by the Democrats?
The leadership is for the Democrats. The leadership is there. We need a new leadership. And that's going to take a while, but that is possible. We can build a new leadership in the trade unions.
I like your sign. Defend Russia, China against war-crazed U.S. rulers. What do you have to say about, the nuclear war that we're kind of ascending into? Okay, let's check this out. Why do you think that they want war with Russia and China?
I don't really want to talk about it right now.
Okay. Thought that was the point of coming out to these kind of things.
We are here to deal with reparations for people of African descent. We recognize their stolen labor and never forget about the fight for reparations. So whatever is going to benefit working class people is something that should be fought for. Short term and long term.
The Uhuru movement, or
well, no, this is about Mumia. We, of course, denounce the attacks on the African People's Socialist Party. It's extremely dangerous for people exercising free speech and to say you're a foreign agent. But this is about Mumia, who Jamal has been in jail for more, over 41 years. And of course, Leonard Peltier has been jailed even longer. And they're both innocent.
I haven't seen much people out here in support of the Uhuru movement. Do you know why that might be?
Oh, I think the people, many of the people here know about it, and it would be good to have a couple of signs.
Okay.
All right, so now we're in Harlem, where yet another May 1st communist demonstration is being held. So we're going to go talk to these people.
In a totally different, emancipating future. You know what's going down. You know what's happening. Well, this march is about building up forces for an emancipating future. This march represents the interest of billions of people around the world.
Are we here to salute the military and thank them for their service? Hell fucking no! What is this military recruiting and what service do they do? They serve the capitalist imperialist empire that's the source of all the suffering and degradation that goes on around this world. Do you know how many people this military has killed? Just gather around, people. You should be part of this. You need to step into this revolution because we're talking about a real revolution that stops this system and these wars after war. This is a system that's killed 10 million people in just since World War II. In Korea, in Vietnam, in Africa, in Asia, in Latin America. 10 million people. And these people have the nerve to stand up and call somebody else a war criminal. Join with us. If you hate the threat of nuclear war and an expanded war in Ukraine, you need to come up now and listen to this and stand with us and see what we think about the American flag, because that's coming up in a few moments. You won't want to miss that, I'm telling you. I, with my own eyes, have seen them kill 500,000 children in Iraq through sickness and hunger. This got exposed. Did the rulers of this system apologize? No. They went on television and said it was worth it to dominate the Middle East. 500,000 children dead. Now, they're talking about Ukraine. They're feeding arms. They're feeding intelligence. They're feeding missiles. They're feeding airplanes into Ukraine. Are they doing that to alleviate the suffering of the people of Ukraine from this horrible Russian invasion? No, they're not. And the head of the Department of Defense said why. To weaken Russia. They're using this as a proxy war for empire that could escalate into World War III.
That's right.
They're willing to risk World War III and the entire future of humanity so their empire can strangle the whole world and stay on top.
I feel great that somebody's out here trying to do something to try to stop World War III.
Tell me more about that.
I mean, what more can we say? I mean, the world has never been closer to world war since the end of World War II. And now we're living in a nuclear age, and it's like the world's leaders are acting like we're not. Like they can have this kind of conventional war that isn't going to immediately escalate into nuclear war. And people are just like sleepwalking into this. I mean,
and you're worried about Taiwan? You're worried about Ukraine?
Absolutely.
Tell me more.
What more would you like to know?
Well, I mean, you think that what's going on with Taiwan could provoke into World War III?
I think the United States is trying to provoke China into attacking Taiwan. That's what I think.
Do you think the United States provoked Russia into attacking Ukraine?
I think they contributed towards it. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's very dangerous, isn't it?
It's. I don't see how much more dangerous it could get, because like once like NATO or American troops get into direct conflict with Russians or with the Chinese, the potential for that to escalate to nuclear warfare it's already off the charts. I mean, the physicians or whatever that organization is with the clock, I mean, it's already like a few seconds to midnight already.
Yeah, well, I've been to 3 different rallies today, and this is the only one where I saw anti-war signs. Did you know that?
That's crazy.
The labor rally in Washington Square, no anti-war signs.
That's just crazy.
Union Square, I didn't see any anti-war signs. I saw all the transgender stuff. I saw all the...
Which is fine. I mean, that's all great, but there has to be an anti-war component to anything that's going on May Day today, because the greatest threat to the workers of this world is the world war.
Yes.
The greatest threat, the biggest threat to everybody, to trans people, to LGBTQ people, everybody.
I agree.
What are you out here for, my friend?
Want to hear me?
What are you out here for?
I'm out here for humanity. It is one race. Humanity. We all shit, we all sleep, we all die. And the color of my skin does not make me any different from you. The color of my skin does not make me any different from you. It is one race. Humanity. Don't forget, Earth equals heart. E-A-R-T-H is the same thing as H-E-A-R-T. The Earth is the heart. Treat it as such. Love it, take care of it, nurture it, feed it greens, because the heart chakra is green. Peace and love and peace.
Now, why do you think it is that they want war with Russia and China?
Why they want war with Russia and China?
Yeah.
For resources, of course. It's always resources.
Yeah.
Resources equals power. If you have resources, they have to come to you. They have to pay you.
Yeah.
You're the one that has the essentials for surviving, for living.
And what is the message that you have for workers around the world?
Workers around the world? I have a message for the army.
Okay.
Disarm nuclear weapons. We have to get rid of nuclear weapons, because that's how the world ends. I sound crazy, but
that's not crazy. That's very sensible.
That's very true. If there's a World War III, nuclear weapons will be used, and we're gonna get wiped out.
Yep. Hey, you're very sensible and you're very passionate. I appreciate you. Peace and love. Peace and love.
So we're here in Harlem. Behind me you can see the Revolutionary Communist Party, which is a Maoist sect left over from the 70s. They're the only group that's talking about World War III. And they're out here talking about the danger of World War III, about why they don't want to see a new world war against Russia and China. It makes me want to cry, but these seem to be the only communists today that even care about World War III. They don't even care about the huge repression that Biden is raining down on groups like the Uhuru movement. The Revolutionary Communist Party is out here, and to their credit, they've got a small rally, they got their red flags, they're cussing up a storm, but at least they're against the war, at least they want to stop the war.
Crimes against humanity. And I raise this flag to stand. No better way that the world can be. The whole